Hello everybody, this is Havoc and welcome to City Skylines 2. I'm very excited to start playing this game. A huge shout out to Paradox Interactive and Colossal Order for providing me this early access to bring you some awesome gameplay. Now, for the goals in this Waterway Pass, which we will name to something different that makes a little bit more sense than Waterway Pass, we are going for kind of a mixed bag here. Now, this is a northern hemisphere area. We are going to have lots of pines and things of that northern style temperature in North America. However, I'm from the South Midwest, and I want to almost style this kind of in the style and framework of my home region, which is Northwest Arkansas. It is very much developed, so I don't want you to have any preconceptions there. But I do have kind of a sick admiration for the way that neighborhoods are developed in this area. They are very much in grid formation with a little bit of waviness in between. But we're going to have this cool aspect of kind of a, mid-America style downtown area combined with the more southern Midwestern style neighborhoods in essence. So I'm really looking forward to this City Skylines 2. I've got about 11 hours in it before I even did this playthrough. So I'm familiar with most of the early aspects. The mid to late game is where we're going to have to start experimenting and where my experience isn't quite there. Regardless, I am incredibly excited to dig in. There's lots of awesome features that I really enjoy in City Skylines 2. I'm going to give you some quick tips and guides to kind of model that, Midwestern style, Southern Midwestern style of neighborhoods and how that can be more effective to be a little more realistic than what the game provides you. And I'll get into that once we get into the city building aspect. But if you enjoy any of this and you're super excited, you can do things like subscribe to this channel in order to keep up with the series. You can become a channel member to support financially, but other than that, just your likes and your comments are what really do a great number for me to show YouTube that you enjoyed it. With that out of the way, we are going with Waterway Pass, which does feature a good chunk of fertile land. So we are going to be looking into developing agriculture in all of its various aspects. I do want to create this idea of a central hub with a large metropolitan area, but also throughout maybe the edges of the maps or where it makes sense to have these small pockets of agriculture, these large lands of farm access, chickens, etc., to kind of pocket it with regional, smaller cities that we can develop on our own, that we can make districts of, and have regional access to various services. There's a lot of things we can do with City Skylines 2 in this area. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Pinebrook Pass. That's the name that we're rolling with, and I really rather enjoy it. We have an awesome expanse here of lots of access to different areas, lots of access to different services, including nice railways, which we are going to have to build to. Although we see here, we do have some form of, potential early agriculture that had access to trains in the recent past. We can use that to our advantage in the future, but we do start with this small square. Now we do have quite a bit of money, $500,000, and we need to get our basic services up and running. One of the things that I'm glad that they added that the first preview access did not give the YouTubers that were able to show it off is these contour lines. Now, as we can see here, we got quite a bit of terrain management that we need to do. First and foremost, though, I do say first and foremost a lot, we see a nice little development area here with a nice little dip. We're going to go ahead and work that into a small creek / river area access, simply because I don't want to do anything else terraforming wise outside of making sure that this is a nice little creek that we can build some bridges over and get some various access to. The second thing, we do need to start our industry over here, simply because, well, the wind direction dictates that would be best. It's going to stink for all the access further down the road, but maybe by the time we even get to that point, we'll have solved that issue. So we got those two things to do, and then we're going to develop our commercial and residential over here, and that's where I'll get into this aspect of the neighborhood styles that are in my local area. Again, they are not nature friendly, I will say. In fact, they are rather exploitative, but I do have kind of a sick admiration for them because of how they look, especially from a skyline view. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'll see you in just a minute. All right, stage 1 is finished. Again, this is a little more than a small creek. I will definitely admit that was a little untrue of me to call that a simple creek, but I still think it'll be a cool little new access area that we'll again have to build across. Now we're going to work on our industry settings over here, and the flattest ground that we have is right up here. But what I want to make sure that we do is I am a little bit obsessive with making things as even and correct as they should be. So we're going to work on making sure that our electrical plant is as good and as symmetrical as it can. We're going to drop that right there. That also gives us very early, easy access to be able to export anything extra, which will do exceeds the city limits. It shouldn't, because I'm just connecting. That's a little bit bizarre. Again, this is the preview build, so this is to be expected, although it is a little frustrating. There we go. Now we have that access out there. Now, as our creek slash river slash whatever it's going to be is rolling over there, we need to go ahead and build out. There we go. That's not a bad happenstance there. And then that allows us to divulge this road eventually to kind of come over here as a bridge and really develop, maybe hold this as a whole entire industrial sector is kind of the goal here. Now, on the other side, we have to make our very standard blockage here. Now, there's not a rough enough terrain over here to justify contouring to the land. I'm not opposed to it once we find appropriate places for it, but that is also not a very southern Midwestern thing that occurs, is that there's not a lot of contouring of the terrain where I am. So we're not going to worry about it until we get to, like, you know, this section over here, or even this area where it might be more relevant. So we're going to do a very, very basic grid because that is what works. And again, we're kind of sticking relevant to the area. Sounds like a cop-out, but I promise it's not. We are trying to be as relevant as possible. And then one of the things that are being developed throughout Northwest Arkansas, where I am, is roundabouts out the wazoo, probably excessively. I think we got some really big city coast developers coming in here and tearing everything up and doing everything from that perspective. So I don't mind it. I don't mind it whatsoever. We are going to have a lot of roundabouts, but it's just something to be mindful of as we are developing these areas and these regions that we are going to want to put in as many roundabouts as possible. And I actually want to delete that and move it a little bit further down. One of the things that I do wish we could do is decide where we want the roundabout without having to place like a road here. There we go. That's what we'll have to do, and that's okay. So we're going to upgrade. The upgrade system, being able to shift, this is magnificent. It is one of my favorite features of being able to toggle, I guess kind of the road anarchy tool, but as a default feature. And we're just going to build that out. That's how that's going to look for now. We're going to give some basic access. Now, one of the other things is they alternate. We're going to delete that because I want to make sure we are utilizing as straight and narrow as possible without having any breaks. What was I saying? Oh yeah, alternating neighborhoods, kind of alternating access. So we're not going to ever have a four-way stop that connects two different neighborhoods. That's another thing that's kind of a nice feature on these areas. But also, the biggest thing that I think we have to mention here when we're building this style, regionally anyways, is that developing plots that are 6 tiles deep are way too big. The only areas in this area of the country that have these big wide accesses are more of the luxury homes, or those homes that were built in like this, you know, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where plots were generally bigger. Again, we're going for an exploitative run, basically. And so that means we're going to try and utilize as much space as possible. What I have found to be most appropriate to my area is 4 tiles deep. Now we can accomplish this in 2 different ways. And we also have residential, by the way, that is right off of these main arteries. So we can accomplish this by going $160 simoleon in, or whenever you're building, you want to have 2 tiles So you're going to start on the 3rd tile. You see there that it gets us 4 tiles deep if that's how we want to go. That is how we want to go. So we're going to go 4 tiles deep, and again, bump that 2 tiles off there, and boom, we have our neighborhood. Now again, actually that is already too deep. I needed to go 1 in. And this is another cool feature. I can simply draw this line and draw it to right here. And just like that, it just shifts it over by 1. And that's going to even not be enough. We need to go 2 in. There we go. So that way when we do this, it'll be 2 tiles off the main road, and that will be hunky-dory for me. And then we are, and I wasn't joking when I said we're going to grid the holy heckin' tar out of this. We are going to grid everything. Now, there are some differences in some of these neighborhoods. For instance, you may have access in 2 different areas. And the biggest thing that we have going for us in some of these neighborhoods is that you kind of have this weaving of areas that just kind of makes it look a little different. Something that truly and ultimately doesn't matter. It just looks nice and aesthetic. So we're going to be building lots of neighborhoods that look like this in similar fashions. And in fact, if you followed me on my first City Skylines 1 run that we did forever ago, actually, then you'll know that this is the similar style to what I had there. So we're going to take advantage. We're going to build out a few of these neighborhood areas and then work on some commercial over here. But we need to get this up and running as efficiently as possible, while again remaining as exploitative as possible for the parameters of the area. All right, here we go. Fantastic. All right, so we have our 3 residential areas. Some with a little bit, we should probably add an access right here now that I think about it. Just so it gives them, they get 3 entrances. Actually, I said I wasn't going to connect those areas. So we may, just to fully exploit, it's going to kind of end in a cul-de-sac. And I'm okay with that. So now what we have to do, this is where I want to specialize and figure out the best things, is we're only going to do 4 deep. Now we can do this and execute this in various ways, but what I'm figuring out is to simply allow spaces for these to fill up first. So we're not going to just coat everything. We have to be very specific in where we put our houses first, and then we have to let that grow and develop before we can then come in and fill in the rest of it. So this is a little bit different. This isn't something that I've had to do, like in City Skylines 1. It may have been I just didn't really think about it, and that's a consequence of that action and not really considering everything, the way that neighborhoods are developed or anything of that nature. But we're gonna go ahead and fill these out real quick, and then we'll finally be able to hit play and be able to see what goes on in our city as we get it all figured out. All right, and with that zoning out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and start hitting play just so we can address those things and get them up and running. But what we are going to continue to do is we are going to add services. Services is, a little important. And I think it only makes sense to get some, crucial infrastructure in on the way right off the bat. And I think I will go ahead and add that so it's the least disruptive thing. Oh, that didn't go all the way in. All right. Also, apologies on that glitch. There are a few performance issues that still happen every now and then. We're gonna go ahead and turn and abandon the... There we go. All right. So we got that rolling. Let's go ahead and get our... Oh, we got to connect our water. That's right. That's of a little importance. Did that not connect? The connection process in this game is also just a little bit wonky. I do absolutely love and think it's crucial to have those connections the way that they function in the game, but it does it's a little bit tricky, isn't it? Okay, are we supplying water? I think we are supplying water. I do believe we are supplying electricity everywhere. So now all we need is sewage, and we can just straight up go super industrialist. We already hit our tiny village mark, so that gives us the ability to pump everything out that we need. Gives us some good development points. Water pipe not connected. You know what? I wonder if it's just automatically connected. It does appear that we are automatically connected. Awesome. All right. Well, we got a nice big bump, you know, a big chunk of money. Government subsidies are rolling through. We have the capacity to build out already, and I'm going to go ahead and roll with these so I can open this area up to its maximum potential and fill the rest of that in for whenever we do end up expanding. We also unlock some basic services. We unlock our medical clinic, a cemetery, which is massive, by the way. We will probably put that in over there. And then we unlock our landfill, and we're going to go ahead and actually utilize this. And we're going to go ahead and expand. We have the everything we need to do it. We don't need that. We just need straight up straightness. There we are. And in fact, here's what I want to do here. Let's make kind of an alleyway around this, because I do want to see if it kind of brings in that retention wall a little bit. It did flatten it a little bit. I don't really know that I like that. We're going to go ahead and delete it because, well, yeah, I just don't think it looks good. There's many other ways that we can do this, and the terraforming tools are already just brilliant, but we can kind of just say, hey, by the way, we're going to soften this up and make it not look so horrid. But we are going to go ahead and dump our dump right next to it. Now, the system for creating the landfill is pretty cut and dry. It is rather enjoyable as well, I will totally admit. I like this whole new system. It's just a fun way to create your own boundaries. We shouldn't need an expansion after that. If we do, then we probably need to figure things out. But we can hold 370 tons. So that's not too shabby at all, and those should get rolling fairly quickly. Let's go ahead and place our two new buildings. Now, admittedly, I probably should have given a little more heads up here, but we're going to go ahead and drop our medical right here. That way it has nice, great access to everything we need. We did unlock a lot of roads as well, which is always awesome. That's still not straight. The ability for... There we go. Sometimes it's a little messed up. It's a little glitchy and a little bit wonky. Now, what we could do is we could totally continue to fill this area out. Let's go ahead and drop... Look at our surroundings. We could easily have a nice bridge. There's a flat access here. It makes sense to build something right here, a nice, maybe even a highway interchange kind of a deal right here, where there's just a lot of access to different areas. So let's go ahead and drop this all the way across. Let's do it right here. And then we're going to fill out this neighborhood. However, we're going to do something different. I'm going to delete all that. Sorry, guys. I apologize. We have a medium density to worry about now. And so what we are actually going to do, this is multi-residential zoning that does tend to be cram-packed in Northwest Arkansas as of now. We're basically building as fast as humanly possible to fit as many people in as humanly possible, because I do believe an average of 30 to 50 people come into Northwest Arkansas a day. So housing is scant and or non-existent, which is why we have, oh, nice. We unlocked a new signature building. A famous rock star lives in this mansion and when he's not on tour. We can rock that. But basically, my point is that we try squeezing in everything we can. Again, it is rather exploitative, both in rental services and things of that nature. We won't get into that though. This is City Skylines. And what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna carve out this section. We're gonna slap a little bit of commercial just right here at the entrance, just very, very small pieces there. But here we are going to do our medium density buildings. And this is kind of those San Francisco style, really small, but really tall housing areas in order to, ooh, you know what? Yeah, we'll have a little bit of distance between them. They don't have to be right up against each other. In fact, I'm going to delete that so we don't see the housing too big over there. We're going to put that there, and we're going to see these pop up, I think, almost immediately, simply to combat the housing demands that are there. So again, this is why I did the 4 tile thing, and we do have the occasional exploitative areas over here, but you'll see for the most part, this is actually, they're really taking advantage of all the housing blocks that we did, but this would even be pretty much a large space. This is probably more accurate to the housing plots, but you'll see here, this is pretty cool. They've got a little greenhouse going. But yeah, this is basically it. This is how it all goes. It's as cram-packed as possible to fit as many people as humanly possible into it all. So we're gonna go ahead, now that housing has filled out, we can go ahead and fill in the rest of these areas. And again, there is going to be some exploitations from the people moving in, but it is what it is. I can't control every element and aspect of housing. However, I will say that I do find it quite hilarious that we have these big boom cranes that are making these small residential houses. That wouldn't be it at all, and it would be actually really awesome to see a mod that, you know, brings in like construction crews instead of, oh, see, you got things like this. No, sir. No, sir. We're not building big, tall, long, small plots. We're gonna have some bigger ones overall. But I do think it's funny that all of these boom cranes are in here building these really small residential areas that simply wouldn't be feasible or doable, you know, in Northwest Arkansas. That's a little ridiculous, but at the same time, it's not killing my immersion, but it is just a humorous aspect of the residential building process that I find rather funny. Maybe high density, certainly high density, now that that's coming in waves in my area, but outside of that, not really a thing. It is what it is. It's not gonna wreck my day. So here we are gonna build some larger roundabouts in these bigger areas, and then we can even drop some smaller ones kind of in these break-offs or something, that if we see the traffic's getting really heavier, like right here, this would be appropriate. This is where we would see roundabouts, and I'm not kidding when I say I may even be able to like post a picture on my community tab of how ridiculous the roundabouts are getting in Northwest Arkansas, because they are everywhere. Pretty much anywhere that there's the potential for traffic to get held up, they're just slapping roundabouts left, right, front, and center. It is rather humorous, so we're going to definitely lean heavily into it. Now, as we can see, we're kind of just building. We're kind of letting the city expand as it needs to. We don't have access to anything new in this area. We can do our rock musician's mansion, but I feel like he needs his own little space that's kind of dedicated and away. Maybe even like, you know, like over here or something. But yeah, we've got a nice big river. It's a little wider and bigger than I wanted to. And while we wait, I may even just like bring it in just a little bit more. Just to make it not quite as crazy as it was made out to be. And we can even carve out just a little more maybe. We need to definitely reduce the effectiveness of this tool because it does go bonkers. And maybe we can expand that in the future to make it a little more rounded, a little build our neighborhood around it, which is the plan there. Now, We don't really have any more demands. Oh, I know what happened here. Oh, I messed up. I messed up big time. We don't want this mixed residential in here. I see what happened. Well, this is a goof on me 100%. I put medium density in here, so they're mixing in with the low residential, and that's not what I want to do whatsoever. So we're definitely going to remove all of the medium residential areas. I do kind of wish there was a little more variation in the colors so I could see where I messed up. But yeah, that's what's going on here. That's humorous. It's frustrating, but it is humorous. I can laugh at it. But that actually is funny. I was wondering why they were building the tall square areas when that shouldn't have happened at all. So we're gonna go ahead and let these guys disappear to make sure that we tackled everything we needed to tackle. And once all those medium residential get out of the way, you'll see they'll start moving over there. That's my bad, guys. That's my bad. I think we're good, though. All those are going to go away. I don't know if that's medium or not, but this is where we'll come in with our low density. And we'll start filling all of those areas out. There we go. That's the way it goes. And of course, that'll just fill up instantly because we do have a decently high demand for it. Oh, shoot. That's too funny, though. That's too funny. We do want to keep our low residency or low residential in with our other... Oh, and we did it over here, too. Just completely rookie mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. Just complete rookie mistakes. There we go. There should be no more tall buildings. They should all go away, and everything else should be in its proper place. Awesome. We're working on it. We're going to get to the next milestone with little to no issue. We just got to wait for it. There we go. Milestone 2 unlocked. We get $700,000, development points, and more tiles. We're now at a small village. And that's going to open up just worlds and worlds of stuff for us. For one, we can expand our residential area, which is exactly what needs to be done. So we can work on our small lake. We're going to turn it into a rather big lake. All right, there we go. I decided to add an island in the middle because that's actually pretty cool. We may have some pedestrian things come into there and work on that. But outside of that, we're going to look into here. We have our development points. We could get advanced road services, start developing our parking areas, or we could get down into here, unlock colleges, incinerator plants, which may be a good way to start that pollution issue right off the bat pretty darn quick. Lots of stuff that we can do though, and including our access to small apartment buildings. Now these are not small. I will have to forewarn you, they are quite large, and it is humorous that they call them small. They can get pretty darn massive. Now we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of our commercial area over here to kind of tap into that, but we're pretty much maxed out in this first commercial district. Lots of, you know, strip mall style places that I really like to have filled out, and we probably will wrap up this first episode in putting in our hearse, or our cemetery rather. Now we can definitely stylize this and work around it, but this area right here, while it would be awesome to fill out with other things, we do need to kind of have a big, I like having the idea of a big, huge area that's dedicated to a little more of the beauty and style of things overall. And I think adding the cemetery is going to do that. And we can add walkways, we can do all sorts of stuff but it makes sense for that entrance to be right in through here, even though I guess it's technically over here. I don't know, there should be connections here that I'm not seeing, which I think should probably go, you know, right like that. But what we can do is we do have 2 available upgrades. We have a temple, which gives +2 to well-being within 328 yards. And I feel like it's appropriate. I don't think I can fit it over here. No, I can't fit either of them. We're going to go ahead and drop the temple in first. And then we're going to have access to the mausoleum, kind of like right here. Which also kind of turns it into a touristy site that works overall. And then again, we can add some areas and some walkways. And again, just to make it really nice and you know, just respectful, basically. So we're gonna work on also populating. It takes a long time for trees to grow and develop, but we're gonna work on that. The brush tool works all right, but I do tend to find we need to add our own trees a little bit closer to the areas, and the density of which a lot of these, I really just want to make like a nice area that is, you know, comfortable to walk through, that's a little bit peaceful and serene. One of the things that I do wish were here that is missing 100% is like a line tool, is just being able to draw a line here. So instead we kind of have to place it ourselves. There we go. It's not the best, and maybe I'll populate all the bushes and stuff over there. But one of the things, this is the beginnings of Northwest Arkansas, ladies and gentlemen. This is how it is currently developing. Not saying that I enjoy it, but at the same time, I kind of do. It does just kind of have a nice little feel to it, but they do tend to just butt up right up against here. Now, what we could do is we could easily add just like road access, which I will admit does look a little bit wonky at the moment. That is just goofy as all get out, but it's just kind of the way that it is at the moment. And hopefully things like these goofy little intersections will get fixed pretty quick, because they do just add a little bit of humor. But at the same time, we can add some nice little walking trails. I mean, how hard is it to not want to walk through that? And just have some enjoyable time connecting some neighborhoods and things of that nature. Now, we got things to do in the next episode. We're not going to do everything now, but we're rocking and rolling pretty darn well, I will say. We're going to expand into our educational and research areas. We're going to cross the creek. We're going to make that a thing that happens and see what expansions can do in here. And then eventually we're going to hit some high level stuff, including our specialized industry. And that's where we can start getting some ideas on expanding into these smaller areas to make our agriculture and things of that nature work well enough. I would love to be able to reach all the way over here and maybe get some water access tools, or maybe, you know, push that up here. This just screams a river. This is a dry riverbed. I want to make it a wet riverbed that comes down from the mountain, but can't do that quite as of yet. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some water right there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me at Pinebrook Pass. It's a humble beginning, but I still think it's going to be a very awesome thing. Of course, I'll take any of your comments or suggestions in the comment section down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this, you know what to do. Subscribe to that channel, to this channel, leave your comments, share it with your friends, or even become a YouTube member and support financially. I do plan on incorporating my members, our current members and future ones, into the city in some way, shape, or form. It's up to you. If you support, you can let me know and we'll get that rolling. Thank you so much once again, Paradox and Colossal Order, for the access to City Skylines 2. Incredibly excited to see where it goes. I'm excited for you guys to get access very, very soon. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.